right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hey, how are you doing? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. Let's get right into it. This is now another series that I'm starting called How Do You Raise the Bottom 5% of Your Company, or what I call Raising the Dead. Now, when I typically go in and speak to a company, I'm going in as a motivational speaker, but one of the things that I always talk to them specifically about is, what are you doing with the bottom 5% of your staff? Because we know the 80-20 rule. 80%, of the productivity is getting done by 20% of the people, and that's really the 20% of the top performers are carrying all the weight. Then there's a middle portion, and then there's a portion at the bottom 10%, but really the bottom 5% are really giving a company nothing. So when I go in and speak, I'm gonna inspire probably more of the middle, because the top performers, they're self-motivated. There's the ones in the middle that are teetering, and those are the ones that really the message will resonate with them, get them going. But the ones at the bottom, there's usually something kind of missing. And so that's why I go in there and I say, hey, let me bring me and my staff, and we can come in and I can work with them, and I have a formula. Now, these things are specifically coming from my family background. I am the seventh of 9 children, so there's team dynamics, leadership dynamics, management dynamics that go into that. I grew up in not the greatest of neighborhoods, so there's these team leadership management dynamics of a neighborhood. I was a high-performing athlete at the high school level, college, and professional for almost a decade. There's 20 years of experience as far as me being an athlete, all that together, that there was team dynamics, leadership dynamics, management dynamics. Then after athletics, I end up going through a bout of depression and homelessness. Now, you would think that there isn't anything of value in that, but I found some things that were during that space of my life that I'm able to apply as well. Then you got prison, then you have college, then you now a business owner, now I'm a motivational speaker. When you mash that all together, I challenge you to go find anybody on the planet that has all of those things together in one. I want to believe that I am the only person on the planet that has that skill set. And now I actually go into companies and I'm able to give them something very unique as far as a perspective of all these things put together, and how do you raise that bottom 5%. Now, I want to start with this, okay? When you first get your bottom 5%, when you're looking at them as an organization, whether they're players, whether they're guys on a Salesforce, however you're looking at them, you can see the numbers. Clearly, they're not producing. So one of the first things that I do is when I go on a presentation and I'm talking to that 5%, I give them this, and I tell them this story. I said, imagine this. Imagine that you are working at a company, your particular company you're working at right now, and you come in, and every day you come into work, you see this person, male or female, sitting out in the lobby. So after a few days or weeks, you go and ask your supervisor. You say, why is that person, I always see that person there, but I don't see him doing anything. And your supervisor looks at you and they go, oh, I'm glad you asked. That person is here to replace you. And your supervisor just pauses. And you're thinking, what did you say? Yeah, that person is here to replace you. So if you don't bring your A game to work, they're ready to replace you. If for some reason you can't show up, they're going to fill in like a relief pitcher. They're going to be ready to replace you. If, God forbid, on your way to work, you have something fatal happens and you can't make it, they're ready to replace you. Basically, if you just aren't on top of your game, they're ready to replace you. And if you continue in that path and you're not doing, now that person is really going to replace you. So now you get to go on with the rest of your day, and now you're thinking, you go, wow, man, I need to step my game up. So one or two things are going to happen from that. Is either you're going to feel the pressure and you're going to step up, or you're going to make a bunch of excuses, which my master's program and just my life experience shows that most people are not ready to step up to that. Okay? So now, what you want to do is you want to find out from that conversation, is that person ready to step up? Now, the other story is, this is from my father. Okay, so take that story as far as, are you ready to be challenged, or are you ready to put your tail between your legs and run off? Here's my father's story. My father comes home from work one day, and these are the two stories that you want to share with that 5%, because you want to gauge how they're reacting to this information. So my father when my father comes home from work, and he sits down, he eats his dinner, he doesn't hang out with us like he would normally do. He goes and takes a bath, smokes his cigarette, checks his lotto tickets, and goes to bed. And so I'm looking around as a little kid, and I'm saying, Mom, what's going on? She goes, oh, sweetie, your dad was sick today. And I go, sick? And I was probably somewhere in the range of 8 or 9 years old. And she goes, he was sick. And I'm going, sick? And now in my mind, as an 8 or 9 year old, all I'm thinking is, if I'm sick, I don't do anything. I lay in the bed, I'm looking for that Campbell's chicken noodle soup, my mom to rub my forehead, give me some Vicks cough drops or whatever, and call it a day. I'm not going anywhere. It was rare that I was sick. But if I was completely out of commission. So that question was bothering me. So maybe a few days later, my dad is getting ready to leave out the house, and I said, hey, can I go with you? And I just, I would always ask him if I could go with him, and it was typically no. But that particular day, he said yes, and he let me sit up in the front seat. So here I'm in the front seat, and I probably didn't even put my seatbelt on. And, I think we were driving the gold Cougar that we had. But I'm sitting up on the leather seats, and now I said, I got him. So I said, Dad, Mom said that the other day you were sick, but you went to work. So, can you explain it? Like Denzel Washington said, can you explain it to an 8-year-old? Like, how does that work? And so my father was driving, and I can't even remember where we went, but I just know he's driving, and I remember him rubbing his chin and his head, and then all of a sudden my dad said, you know what, son? He said, every day I get up, I realize that I have an obligation to your mother and all of you. And remember, I said, I am the 7th of 9. So my dad said, I have an obligation to all of you children to get up, go to work, and put in a hard day's work, because I have mouths to feed, I have a home to take care of. Now, I'm paraphrasing. I can't tell you exactly what he said, but this is what I've taken from that conversation after all of these years. Then my dad said something that was the most powerful lesson that I got from that. He said, you know what, son? He said, every day I get out of my car, I have to walk past people in front of my plant, okay, that would be glad to work twice the hours for half the pay that I get. He said, so not only do I owe that responsibility to your mother, to you guys, I owe it to all those people that are out of work, that I go in there and give a hard day's work. How dare I go in there and give a half-ass work, or don't show up when those guys would work twice as long for half of the pay. That was my father explaining to me how he had a commitment to excellence as far as how he saw what his responsibility was. So I say that to that 5%, and I'm basically asking you, are you ready to compete? And what you are doing as a manager, supervisor, CEO, you are looking at that. And that session probably should be videotaped. You should videotape everybody in that room to see their reactions. Because what you're going to find out is, do you have lions in that room, or do you have gazelles in that room? Are you going to be getting up, ready to go conquer the world and chase what it is that you're after? Or are you going to be a gazelle and you're going to look around over your shoulder waiting for a stimulus, somebody to be on your ass for you to get going? Because right there at the beginning, you are now clearly setting the table for all the videos and stuff that I'm going to give you later on as far as how do you find out what you can do with that 5%. You are clearly now planning your greatness. All right, this is Plan Your Greatness, Volume 1 of the Raise the Dead series, or Raise the 5% of your company. Again, this is Plan Your Greatness. And I'm going to say this again. Plan your greatness. You know why? Because nobody else will. See y'all in the next video.